Welcome to this explainer on California's brand new MyFirstEV program, which was born from the recent passage of SB 16-8. I am so pumped to walk you through this today because honestly, California just completely flipped the script on electric vehicle incentives. Governor Gavin Newsom officially signed this bill into law, and it's basically going to change how people buy their first zero-emission vehicles. But as you're going to see, it isn't just some straightforward rebate. There's a totally fascinating corporate dynamic happening behind the scenes. So by the end of this explainer, you'll know exactly how to claim this cash, who really benefits the most, and why you literally have a very limited window to act.
So if you've been holding out on buying an electric vehicle because the government killed off that $7,500 federal tax credit last year, well, your wait is officially over. Because this new program, it offers an instant $3,500 discount right at the dealership counter. I mean, think about that for a second. We aren't talking about filing complex tax forms and crossing your fingers for a check in the mail months down the road. No, this is cash on the hood. It actually drops the bottom line price of the car before you even have to calculate your monthly payments. And it gets even better. There is absolutely zero income limit and zero need to wait 6 months for a tax refund. You know, in older programs, you'd constantly have to prove your income fell below some specific threshold, which just led to weeks of frustrating paperwork. But SB 16-8 completely strips all of that away. So whether you're, fresh out of college or you're a seasoned executive, the playing field is entirely level now. The big takeaway here is that the barrier to entry has been radically lowered for every single California resident who wants to make the jump to electric.
All right, moving on to Section 1, the core rules, and how you actually qualify for the point-of-sale discount.
Unlike those older grants, you just sign a simple attestation right at the dealership. It really is that straightforward. Step 1, you just prove you live in the state. Step 2, confirm you haven't actually owned a zero-emission vehicle before, which, makes sense given the name MyFirstEV. And Step 3, the dealer applies that discount right then and there. By shifting all that administrative headache onto the dealership instead of you, the consumer, the state is really hoping to drastically accelerate EV adoption.
Now let's talk about the pricing caps, because they are pretty strict. You get $3,500 off a new EV that has an MSRP under $50,000, or you can get $1,750 off a used EV priced at $25,000 or less. And the logic here makes total sense, right? The state wants to incentivize affordable, everyday daily drivers. They definitely don't want to subsidize six-figure supercars for the ultra-wealthy. By capping new cars at $50K and used cars at $25K, the money mathematically targets the middle of the market. Sounds completely simple and fair? Well, that is, until you actually look at the fine print.
Which brings us to Section 2, the headquarters loophole, a hidden corporate battle.
Okay, you've got to pay close attention to the exact phrasing of this headquarters exception because it completely waives the price cap for home state brands. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. That $50,000 limit we literally just talked about, it suddenly vanishes into thin air if the automaker's corporate headquarters is located within California state lines. This one single sentence completely rewrites the rules of the whole program. It shifts millions of dollars in consumer incentives, and as you might guess, it has caused an absolute uproar across the auto industry.
So what this does is create a sharply divided market. Luxury brands like Rivian and Lucid fully qualify for the discount regardless of their price tag. Meanwhile, Tesla is slammed with that strict $50,000 cap because they moved their corporate headquarters over to Austin, Texas. Think about how this plays out in the real world. Someone buying a Rivian or a Lucid Air, which are true luxury vehicles that can easily cost $60,000 to well over $70,000, they're going to effortlessly grab that $3,500 instant discount. But because Tesla officially moved out of California, they're treated as an out-of-state manufacturer. So yep, the $70,000 luxury car gets the state subsidy, while a $55,000 vehicle from an out-of-state brand might get absolutely nothing.
Now, to be fair, it isn't a total lockout for them. While the Cybertruck and the high-end Teslas are completely blocked by this cap, the cheaper base Model 3 and Model Y will absolutely still qualify. Since those specific models have an MSRP sitting safely below that $50,000 threshold, first-time EV buyers can still apply the instant rebate to them. So even though Tesla's premium lineup definitely takes a hit from this headquarters exception, their highest volume daily drivers are going to remain highly competitive in this new market landscape.
All right, let's get into Section 3, the extinction timeline, the $270 million ticking clock.
Here is how the funding breaks down.
The state put up $135.5 million, but participating automakers actually have to match that dollar for dollar, creating a massive total pool of $270 million. And honestly, this is a pretty brilliant funding mechanism because it forces the manufacturers to really have some skin in the game. If an automaker wants their cars to be eligible for that super attractive point-of-sale discount, they literally have to open up their own wallets and match the state's contribution. Together, it builds this formidable $270 million pie. But if you know anything about the California auto market, you know that pie is going to be eaten incredibly fast.
When you actually sit down and do the math, experts predict this limited fund is only going to cover roughly 80,000 to 150,000 vehicles in total. Look, California is the undisputed heavyweight champion of electric vehicle adoption in the US. These cars fly off the lots here way faster than anywhere else. And when you divide that $270 million by those $3,500 and $1,750 discounts, you hit a hard ceiling pretty quickly. Once those 80,000 to 150,000 discounts are claimed by buyers, the whole program is completely dry. Done.
So let's map out this timeline. Next month, CARB, the California Air Resources Board, launches the official list of participating dealers. Later this summer, those instant discounts actually hit the dealerships. And the crazy part? That entire $270 million fund is projected to vanish entirely by early next year. This is exactly why you cannot afford to wait around. Next month is absolutely critical. Because the second CARB publishes that directory of automakers who agreed to the match, buyers are going to start lining up. By late summer, the discounts are live. And based on how fast Californians buy EVs, analysts are practically sounding the alarm that the vault will be totally empty by the first quarter of next year.
So, before you rush out to the dealership this summer, I want to leave you with a final thought about that headquarters exception. Do you think this loophole is a fair, smart, local incentive, or is it an unjust restriction? I mean, on one hand, you have a state rewarding the companies that keep their corporate tax dollars and their infrastructure local, right? But on the other hand, you have consumer choices being actively shaped by this geographic technicality that locks out certain really popular models. It's a truly fascinating intersection of policy, economics, and automotive innovation. Keep a close eye on those dealership lists next month, and if you are ready to make the jump to your first EV, you'd better be ready to move fast. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and stay curious.